This is a review that is long overdue. Ever since I started reviewing game systems on my channel, I'm actually surprised that I've never talked about the PlayStation 2. If there's any system that I can say tops the PS1 only by a slight inch, it's definitely the PlayStation 2. This thing is the almighty monolith of video game history. Without a doubt, one of the most important, if not the most important, game system of all time. This is the console I have the most nostalgic memories of, and no other console will ever be as nostalgic as this one. If you're wondering what model I have, it's the SCPH 50001. Yes, the 50001 model, which is one of the later fat models that was produced. And this is when they fixed issues with the disk drive, which I will get into detail on a little bit later in this review. I also happen to own the Slim model in my collection. It's the model SCPH 79001 for those of you who are interested in knowing. It's a smaller and a cheaper version of the PlayStation 2. The only thing is that if you're interested in collecting PS2s, the Slim might be the best choice for you if you're casual, because it has the better laser overall compared to the Fat. But the Fat is still a worthy console to have for your collection. And best of all, you can fix it. But like I said, I'll go more into detail on that later on. So first, let's talk about the console design right here, as the usual format right here. So you can clearly see that this thing is huge. Like I said, it looks like the monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey, which for the record is my favorite Kubrick film of all time, but I don't mean to go off topic. So when you stand it up, you can actually turn the logo on the side, because the console was actually built to stand from a vertical and a horizontal position, which I think is really awesome. So there you go. If you don't like it like that, if you don't like standing it vertically, then that's just fine. You can sit it horizontally, which most people tend to do anyway. So this is what the front looks like right here. You can clearly see it's big right here. And this thing is actually pretty heavy too. I mean, when I was a kid, 6 years old, this thing was the heaviest game console I've ever carried. But now, since I'm 21 years old, this thing isn't nothing. This thing is very light to me. So right there you see you have 2 memory card ports right off the front of it. And then you have 2 controller ports, but you can get a multi-tap to work around it. Then you also have 2 USB 1 ports right there. Yes, USB 1. Now we're in the era of USB 3. Interesting, isn't it? So right there is the disc tray right there. This is where you would get your games. You would insert your games and stuff like that and take them out. Right there is your power/reset button, and that's your eject button right there. So it's all really simple, all in the front. And I love the fact that it even says PS2 right off the top of the console, just FYI. So this is what the back looks like. That's the expansion bay right there. So if you have like a hard drive or a network modem, you can actually plug it into the expansion bay, which most people actually did, but mine doesn't have anything. So right there is where the fans are. So you don't have to worry about fans on the bottom. That's your AC port, and right there is the power switch. So yes, the power supply is internal, which explains why it's very heavy. And then right there is your digital optical output, which is never even used, and that's your AV output. Yeah, there you go, a port that's actually used. So there you go. All really simple, straightforward stuff. I mean, I pretty much talk about this kind of stuff all the time on this channel when I review systems. If you don't know anything here, then guess what? I don't know where you're gonna get from. So here you go. We have 3 memory cards right here. These are what the memory cards look like. They look exactly like the PS1, except more, I guess, rectangular-ish and more sharper corners, if that makes sense. You can also hunt down this memory card right here, a 128 megabyte. That's a third-party one. You can actually buy 2 packs of them for only $10 on Amazon. So yes, I do actually have another one in my possession specifically for that reason. So it's pretty interesting. There you go. All you do is just plug them in, and there you go. They just work. Simple as that. Now, here's one other thing I want to talk about. Remember how I say that the DualShock controller is my favorite? If I had to say which one in particular is my favorite, the DualShock 2. Yes, this thing is my favorite. And this is actually the exact same one that I actually had as a kid. It was a clear blue DualShock 2. And this one actually came with the console, the fat PS2, when I bought it off of eBay, along with a couple other games in there, which I probably will bring up in future videos. You can see that it looks exactly the same as the PS1 DualShock controller, except, it's a slightly more upgraded version of the original DualShock controller. But functionally, it's pretty much the same. I mean, it uses the same circuit boarding as the original DualShock controller. So all you do, you just plug it in, and then bada bing, bada boom, you are ready to go. You are ready to play some awesome 3D games for the PS2, or maybe even watch DVD movies. I do love the matte finish on top of it too. That was something they screwed up with the fat PS3, where you could get fingerprints on it. This one was done better. So right here, I have Ps1 memory cards because yes, the PS2 is 100% backwards compatible with PS1, especially the original PS2 Fat, which also means you can use the Ask-Aware fighting stick. So if you wanted to play games like Tekken 1, Tekken 2, or Tekken 3 on here, or even the modern fighting games on the PS2 like Tekken 4, 5, and so on and so forth, then the Ask-Aware fighting stick will definitely work with no problem. I've tested it out on all my PS2 games that were fighters at least, and the Ask-Aware actually works just fine. In fact, it works great. I've experienced no problems. So when I say that this console is 100% compatible with PS1 accessories, that is no exaggeration. So right here we have the Ps2 Slim. Yes, I figured I might as well review the Slim real fast, since if I were to make a separate review, I'd be saying the same stuff over and over again, and it would be repetitive. So this is what the front looks like. It's almost the same as the Fat, except, slightly, slimmer. And you can see that this one is a top loader instead of a tray loader like the original Fat is. So yeah, top loading systems are always a good thing to have around. And much like the original Fat, you can actually stand it up vertically, and you can also turn the logo on its side, much like the original, because again, the PS2 was built specifically so that you can play it horizontally or vertically. So you have the memory card ports in the same spots as the original Fat, and then you have the two controller ports. The same thing applies to what I said before, and that's your two USB ports right off the front of it. And then there's little heat vents right there to exhaust heat out of the system. And right on the back is that, unlike the original Fat, the Ps2 Slim actually has a network modem built inside of it. And that's your AV port right there, and that's what the power port looks like. This version of the PS2 actually uses an external power supply instead of an internal power supply like the original Fat does, which is only one of the major differences. But other than that, it's functionally the same. Another major difference is that the laser in the Slim is actually designed to be a lot functionally better than the Fat. So like I said, if you're a casual, buy the Slim, because it will definitely live much longer compared to the Fat. Now here are some of the games here that I have for it. Look at all the awesome titles you got for it. We have Tekken Tag Tournament, one of the best fighting game crossovers ever. Tekken 4, the first time where Tekken really took 3D to a whole new level into modern Tekken. And then you have my favorite Tekken game on the PS2, Tekken 5, which is my second favorite Tekken game of the series overall. Second only to Tekken 3, just FYI. Look at the other awesome titles you got for it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, the definitive version at that. And then you have basically my second favorite wrestling game for it, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. Second only to Here Comes the Pain. Now take a look at some of the other titles you got on here. The Capcom fighting games. Capcom vs. SNK 2 is awesome on this thing. Then you also have compilations like Street Fighter Alpha Anthology and Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, all of which play very, very well on this system. Definitely for hardcore fans like myself. Now take a look at some of the other fighting games that you can get for the system. Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore, an updated version of the Dreamcast version. Then you have Virtua Fighter 4, another awesome fighting game. Then you have Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. If you're a huge Dragon Ball fan, then that game is a welcome addition for the PS2. I wish I could bring up Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but I still currently don't have that in my collection yet. But don't worry, I'm working on that. So here are some other awesome titles. This is one of my favorites on the PS2, Twisted Metal Black. Then we have Midnight Club 3 Double Edition Remix, arguably my favorite racing game for the system. Then there's my second favorite one, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, a game that I have very fond memories of, just FYI. Then you have these two simulating powerhouses, Gran Turismo 3 and 4, both of which are definitely some of the best games on the PS2. definitely better than Project Cars in my opinion. I'm sorry. I mean, I love Project Cars, but I'm more of a Gran Turismo guy. Now, take a look at the RPG games you have right here. Final Fantasy X, one of the all-time greatest games. Then you have Final Fantasy 12, which is regarded by some people as the last truly great Final Fantasy game. That is if you're not a fan of 15. But hey, take a look at that. It's great when it comes to RPGs, and you can even get Grandia 2 if you're not a huge fan of Final Fantasy. So there you go, a good alternative. And right here is what the PS2 is known for, the Grand Theft Auto series. These are my two favorites on the system, Grand Theft Auto Vice City and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I do think San Andreas is probably the best one, and honestly, a lot of people would agree with me, but I'm serious. San Andreas really is the best Grand Theft Auto game ever. Definitely way better than 5, but I digress. So right there, you can clearly see why the PS2 is just awesome in every sense of the word. The amount of games you got, from fighting games to shooters to even sports. Yes, if sports games are your favorite, then the PS2 will definitely satisfy your taste if that's what you're mainly up for, in the mood for. Like I said, the DualShock 2 controller is one of the all-time greatest controllers ever made. And if you're a hardcore enthusiast like myself, go out there and buy yourself a fat and a slim. Why? Why 2 PS2s instead of just 1? Well, simply because they're just awesome to have in your collection. Like, you can definitely say that you have a very prestigious video game collection with these very, very awesome relics from the past. So that's pretty much everything I have to say about the PlayStation 2. If you guys have any other comments or whatever, just make sure you guys let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next review, okay? Until then, this is your friendly neighborhood reptile signing off. Now, if you'll pardon me in the meantime, I am going to go play some PS2. So I just got back, and this is the first thing I just saw. I only went to go take a bathroom break, and then when I got back, this was the first thing that I saw. It's the Dreamcast and the PS2 sitting right next to each other. I got an idea. Hold on a second. I got an idea. Hey, hang on a second. Let me see what I can do here. Alright, let's see what I can do here. Since these two consoles have lived past their prime, these two are now holding hands together as friends. These two were the biggest competitors of the 6th generation, and here they are in unity. That's what video gaming is all about.